The screech of tires ripped through the midnight rain like a scream, metal twisting against metal in a symphony of chaos that drowned out Anthony's heartbeat. He slammed on his brakes too late, his old Ford pickup fishtailing across the slick Queens asphalt. But instinct took over, pure animal reflex, and he lunged from the cab before the smoke even cleared. There, crumpled against the guardrail of the Van Wyck Expressway, was a sleek black sedan, its hood accordioned like crumpled paper, headlights flickering like dying fireflies, and inside, a man, bloodied but breathing, his face pale as the underbelly of a storm cloud, slumped over the wheel, whispering a name that sounded like a curse. Dominic. No, not like this. Anthony's hands shook as he yanked open the driver's door, the acrid stench of burnt rubber and oil choking the air. But he didn't hesitate. Hey, stay with me, man, Jesus. Can you hear me? The stranger's eyes fluttered open, green as fractured emeralds, locking onto Anthony's with a desperation that hit like a gut punch. Rain lashed their faces as Anthony hauled him free, the man's weight sagging against him like a broken promise, his breath ragged against Anthony's neck. You're gonna be okay, Anthony lied through gritted teeth, dialing 911 with one hand while cradling the stranger's head with the other, their bodies pressed close in the downpour, strangers bound by the raw edge of survival. Sirens wailed in the distance as Anthony eased the man onto the wet grass verge, his leather jacket soaking through, but he didn't care. The guy's pulse thrummed weak under Anthony's fingers, a fragile Morse code against the pulse of the city that never slept. Paramedics swarmed them minutes later, barking orders, strapping the stranger to a gurney, but not before he gripped Anthony's wrist with surprising strength, murmuring, "Thank you, whoever you are." Anthony watched the ambulance peel away, red lights bleeding into the night, his chest tight with an inexplicable ache. He wasn't a hero, hell. He was just a 28-year-old mechanic from Astoria, scraping by on oil changes and late-night regrets. But tonight, he'd pulled a ghost from the wreckage. Back at his cramped apartment above the auto shop, Anthony stripped off his drenched clothes, the mirror reflecting a man he barely recognized. Broad-shouldered, tattooed arms from years of wrench-turning, dark hair plastered to his forehead, brown eyes haunted by what-ifs. He collapsed onto his threadbare couch, nursing a beer from the fridge, the TV droning some late-night infomercial about miracle cures. Sleep came fitful, haunted by those green eyes, that whispered name Dominic. Who the hell was he? A finance bro from Manhattan, judging by the suit shredded in the crash? Some lost soul chasing the American dream down a highway to hell? Morning broke gray and unforgiving, the kind of November drizzle that seeped into your bones. Anthony dragged himself to the shop, grease under his nails before his coffee even cooled, but his mind wandered back to the expressway. By noon, curiosity gnawed at him like rust on a chassis. He hit up a buddy at the precinct, cashed in a favor from that DUI fix last summer. Guy's name's Dominic Hale, the cop grunted over the phone. 32, lives in the village. Clean record, works at some hedge fund. Lucky bastard, you saved his ass. Anthony's gut twisted. Dominic Hale. The name echoed like a half-remembered song. He shouldn't care. It was just a crash, just a moment. But those eyes, they pulled at something deep, a thread he didn't know was frayed. That afternoon, after a double shift, he found himself in Greenwich Village, nursing a black coffee at a corner cafe, staring at the hospital across the street. What was he doing? Stalking a near corpse? No, just checking in. Yeah, that was it. The lobby smelled of bleach and bad decisions, fluorescent lights buzzing like angry hornets. Anthony flashed a visitor's badge, heart hammering as he navigated the sterile halls to room 412. There he was, Dominic, propped up in bed, bandages wrapping his ribs like a mummy's curse, for drip snaking into his arm. But his face, God, that face, lit up when Anthony stepped in, a crooked smile cracking through the bruises. "You," Dominic rasped, voice like gravel wrapped in silk. "The rain angel. Come to finish me off." Anthony chuckled, low and rough, pulling up a chair. "Nah, just making sure you don't haunt me." Anthony Russo. Mechanic. Bad habit of playing Superman on highways. They talked, or rather, Dominic talked, words tumbling out in a rush of gratitude and gallows humor. He was a numbers guy, crunching algorithms for Wall Street wolves. But tonight's rain had turned his Audi into modern art. Slippery roads. Shitty luck. Dominic shrugged, wincing. But you were there. Like fate or some rom-com bullshit. Anthony felt heat creep up his neck, those green eyes dissecting him with unnerving intensity. There was a spark, electric and forbidden, humming between them like a live wire. Dominic's hand brushed his when he passed the water cup. Accidental, maybe, but Anthony's skin burned from the touch. "Get some rest, man," he said, standing too quickly. "I'll check in tomorrow." "Unless you want me gone." Dominic's gaze held him captive. "Stay. Please." It wasn't a plea. It was a command wrapped in vulnerability, and Anthony obeyed, sinking back down. They shared stories then, Anthony's Italian immigrant folks in Queens, the garage that was his dad's dying wish, Dominic's vague nods to a complicated family upstate, a mom who'd raised him solo after some mess with his old man. Laughter bubbled up, tentative at first, then real, easing the ache in Anthony's chest. By visiting hour's end, Dominic was dozing, and Anthony slipped out, the rain finally easing into mist. What the hell was this? Gratitude? Friendship? Or something sharper, hungrier, that made his pulse race in ways it hadn't since his last disastrous hookup? Days blurred into a routine. Shop by day, hospital by night. Dominic healed fast, stitches out, ribs mending, and their conversations deepened, peeling back layers like stripping paint from an old Chevy. Anthony confessed his ex, Marco, the bartender who'd ghosted him after coming out to his Catholic family, blew up in flames. "They called me a disgrace," Anthony admitted one evening, staring at the linoleum. "Like loving a man makes me less of their son." Dominic's hand found his then, deliberate, squeezing with a warmth that seared. "Screw them. You're the guy who dives into wrecks for strangers." "That's grace, Anthony. Pure grace." Dominic opened up too, in fragments. A childhood shuttled between motels, his mom's fierce love masking shadows of abandonment. "Dad bailed before I could walk," he said, voice edged with old hurt. "Left us with nothing but questions." Anthony wanted to pull him close, erase that pain with his own, but the bedrail between them felt like a chasm. Instead, he joked, deflected, but the air thickened with unspoken want, the brush of knees under the tray table, the linger of eye contact that said more than words. One night, as snow flurried against the window, early for New York, but the city didn't care, Dominic reached out, tracing the tattoo on Anthony's forearm. A compass rose, inked for his nano who'd navigated oceans to Ellis Island. "Beautiful," Dominic murmured, thumb lingering on the ink. Anthony's breath hitched, the room shrinking to just them, the beep of monitors fading to white noise. He leaned in, heart a war drum, and their lips met, soft at first, tentative, then fierce, a collision of need and release. Dominic tasted like hospital jello and secrets, his fingers threading through Anthony's hair, pulling him closer. It was messy, perfect, a spark igniting in the sterile dark. They broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed. Dominic's whisper hot against Anthony's skin. "I've wanted that since the rain." Anthony laughed, shaky, tracing Dominic's jaw. "Me too. God, me too." In that moment, the world narrowed to two men stealing fire from the gods. Consequences be damned. But as Anthony left that night, snow dusting his jacket, a shadow loomed unseen, but closing in like fog off the East River. Weeks passed in a haze of stolen moments and snow-slicked streets, Anthony and Dominic carving out a fragile world amid the grind of New York. Dominic got discharged, hobbling into Anthony's pickup on crutches, insisting on repaying the favor with takeout from a hole-in-the-wall falafel joint in Astoria. Anthony's apartment became their sanctuary, cluttered with tools and takeout boxes, the air thick with the scent of motor oil and Dominic's cologne, something crisp like pine after rain. They cooked together, badly, burnt pasta one night, leading to flower fights and kisses that left them breathless against the counter. "You're a disaster," Anthony teased, wiping sauce from Dominic's chin, but his voice cracked with affection, raw and real. Dominic fit into Anthony's life like a missing gear, smooth and essential. Mornings, he'd sip coffee on the fire escape, sketching market trends on napkins while Anthony tinkered below in the shop. Evenings blurred into nights of tangled sheets, bodies mapping each other with reverent hands. Dominic's lean runners billed under Anthony's calloused palms, whispers of "I got you" exchanged like vows. It was romance stripped bare. No grand gestures, just the quiet poetry of two men choosing each other in a city that chewed up dreams. "Never thought I'd find this," Dominic confessed one dawn, head on Anthony's chest, heartbeat sinking like a lullaby. "Someone who sees me, wreck and all, but cracks spiderwebbed beneath the surface." Dominic dodged questions about his past with the finesse of a Wall Street dodge, his phone buzzing with calls he silenced mid-ring. Anthony noticed the late-night texts from work, the way Dominic's eyes shadowed when family came up. "Tell me about your mom," Anthony pressed one night, post-love haze, fingers tracing lazy circles on Dominic's back. Dominic tensed, then sighed. "She's gone now. Cancer, 2 years back. Left me the apartment, some debts, and a box of letters from a ghost. The ghost, his father." Anthony wanted to pry, but Dominic's walls were fortress thick, so he held him instead, murmuring nonsense until sleep claimed them. Christmas loomed, neon lights twinkling like false promises along Fifth Avenue. Anthony's family, Ma, Pop, his sister Lena and her kids, insisted on the annual Russo feast in their cramped row house, the air heavy with marinara and judgment. Anthony hadn't come out to them fully, not after Marco's fallout, but whispers lingered like garlic in the sauce. "Bring a friend," Ma urged over the phone, voice laced with hope. "Someone nice. Italian, maybe," Anthony laughed it off, but Dominic overheard, his face clouding. "I don't do family holidays," he said flatly. Later, staring out at the Christmas tree lot across the street. "Too many ghosts." Anthony let it slide, but doubt festered. Who was Dominic? Really? The hedge fund hotshot with a laugh like summer thunder? Or the man who flinched at doorbells, On impulse, during a slow afternoon at the shop, Anthony Googled him, innocent curiosity, he told himself. Dominic Hale turned up clean. LinkedIn profile gleaming with Ivy League polish. Articles on fintech disruptors. A smiling headshot that hid the scars. But deeper digs, public records. A whim, unearthed a birth certificate anomaly. Dominic Hale, born in Syracuse. Mother Elena Vasquez. Father. Unlisted. Anthony's stomach dropped. Vasquez? Like his own Nana's maiden name? Coincidence, right? New York's full of them. The holiday arrived in a whirlwind of tinsel and tension. Anthony went alone, dodging Ma's eagle eyes, enduring Uncle Vinny's ribbing about finding a nice girl. But midway through the 7 fishes, his phone buzzed, a text from Dominic. Miss you. Come home soon? Got a surprise. Anthony bailed early, heart lifting as he navigated iced roads back to Astoria. The apartment glowed warm, Dominic in a ridiculous Santa hat, a tree strung with shop lights and mismatched ornaments. Merry Christmas, hero, he grinned, pulling Anthony into a kiss that tasted of eggnog and promise. Under the tree, a leather-bound journal for Anthony's sketches. He'd noticed Anthony doodling carburetors. And for Dominic, a vintage wrench set, for when you want to help in the shop. They made love by firelight from the radiator's glow. Slow and worshipful, bodies a language of forgiveness and fire. Afterward, wrapped in a quilt older than both of them, Dominic finally cracked open. That box from Mom? Letters from him. My dad. Never met the bastard, but he wrote like he cared. Promises of visits that never came. Anthony listened, throat tight, the pieces not quite fitting. What's his name? He asked softly. Dominic hesitated. Then, Michael Russo. The world tilted. Russo. Anthony's blood roared in his ears, the room spinning like tires on black ice. What? Anthony bolted upright, quilt pooling like spilled secrets. Russo? As in? My pop. Dominic's eyes widened, confusion morphing to horror. No, wait. Your last name's Russo. Jesus. Anthony. They scrambled for clothes. Phones. Anthony dialing his father's number with trembling fingers, the line ringing into voicemail. Dominic paced, pale as fresh snow. It can't be. Mom said he was from upstate, some engineer who split. But Russo. That's too common, right? But it wasn't. Not with the dates aligning. Dominic's birth, 9 months after Pop's business trip to Syracuse in '93, the year Ma always called the rough one. Dawn broke cold as they sat on the fire escape, coffees cooling untouched. Anthony's mind reeled. Half-brother? The man he'd saved, loved, was blood? Betrayal clawed at him, not from Dominic, but from the ghost of a father who'd hidden a son. Why didn't he tell us? Anthony whispered, voice breaking. Dominic reached for him, but Anthony flinched. I don't know. But this. It changes everything. Or did it? The spark between them flickered, tainted now by taboo, but undeniable. They clung to each other as the city woke, snow muffling the chaos, 2 brothers in arms against a legacy of lies. Word spread like flu in a subway car. Anthony confronted Pop that afternoon, storming the row house where Ma was prepping leftovers. Dominic Hale, ring a bell? He demanded, thrusting the birth certificate printout. Pop's face drained of color, hands shaking as he sank into his armchair, the same one he'd rocked Anthony in as a kid. Mikey, Ma gasped. crossing herself. The story spilled out in halting sobs. A fling during a layoff, a girl from the factory line, promises broken by fear and shame. I sent money when I could, Pop rasped. But telling you, it would have torn us apart. He was a mistake, Tony. A secret to protect the family. Anthony's fist clenched. The word mistake a knife twist. He's not a mistake, he's my brother. And you let him grow up alone. Ma wept, begging forgiveness, but the damage festered. Dominic, meanwhile, vanished into his village loft, radio silent for days. Anthony pounded the door on the fourth, raw-voiced pleas echoing in the hall. When it opened, Dominic looked wrecked, unshaven, eyes red-rimmed. I can't do this, he said, blocking the threshold. Blood, Anthony. We're blood. What we had. It's wrong. The fracture hit like a winter gale, splintering the warmth they'd built. Anthony threw himself into the shop, days bleeding into nights under fluorescent glare, engines roaring where words failed. Customers blurred, soccer moms with minivans, cabbies cursing potholes, but his mind replayed Dominic's rejection on loop. Wrong. Was it? The law said half-siblings could love. But society, family, the gnawing voice in his head, they whispered taboo. Sick. He texted Lena, his sister, spilling the bombshell over beers at a dive bar in Flushing. Half-brother? Pops. She hugged him fierce, tears salting her cheeks. That explains the eyes green like Nana's stories. But Tony, you too. It's messy, but love's not a flowchart. Messy didn't cover it. Anthony dreamed of Dominic nightly. Rain-slicked skin, green eyes pleading, bodies entwined in defiance. He'd wake hard and hollow, cursing the blood tie that poisoned paradise. Pop tried amends, awkward calls. An envelope of old photos slipped under Anthony's door. A younger Michael Russo, grinning with a mystery woman, a toddler Dominic in faded Polaroids. For him, Pop scrawled. Anthony forwarded them to Dominic's email. No note, just pixels of a father neither wanted. Dominic resurfaced a week later, unannounced, crutches ditched but limp lingering. He stood in the shop bay, snow melting off his boots, holding a coffee tray like a white flag. Truce? He asked, voice tentative. Anthony wiped grease from his hands, heart a traitor thudding welcome. They sat on milk crates amid half-dismantled Fords, sipping lattes, the silence heavy as lead. I freaked, Dominic admitted, staring at the concrete. The incest thing is a mindfuck. But you're not my brother. Not really. We didn't grow up sharing secrets or Christmases. You're. You. The guy who saved me. Anthony's throat tightened. And you're the guy who makes me feel seen. But Pop, he betrayed us both. Hid you like a stain. Dominic nodded, jaw set. I hate him for it. But us? I miss you, Anthony. More than sense. The confession hung, electric. Anthony closed the distance, cup discarded, pulling Dominic into a hug that cracked open the dam. No kiss, not yet, but the press of bodies spoke volumes, forgiveness in the tremble of held breath. They rebuilt slow, boundaries redrawn in tentative lines. Coffee dates turned to walks in Central Park, hands brushing accidental on purpose, conversations skirting the heat but fanning its embers. Dominic dove back into work, his loft a revolving door of Bloomberg terminals and takeout, but he'd text Anthony mid-meeting, thinking of your hands on that engine. Wish it was me. Anthony fired back. Careful, or I'll torque you loose. Flirtation as foreplay, building tension like a coil spring. But shadows lengthened. Pop's guilt manifested in hovering. Dropping by the shop with cannoli, cornering Dominic at a neutral diner for talks that ended in slammed doors. I was young, scared. Pop pleaded to Anthony one rainy afternoon, rain pattering the shop's tin roof. Your ma was pregnant with you. Telling her? It'd kill the family. Anthony's temper flared, wrench clanging against the bench. Family? You mean your perfect lie? Dominic grew up fatherless because of your protection. Pop recoiled, eyes wet. I love you, son. All of you now. But love felt like chains, binding them in resentment's forge. Lena became their bridge, hosting a forced family dinner in her Brooklyn brownstone neutral ground, kids banished to cartoons. Ma fussed over Dominic like a long-lost prodigal, piling his plate with braciole, while Pop sat mute, a ghost at his own table. Dominic charmed them, anecdotes of Wall Street absurdities drawing laughs. But under the table, his knee pressed Anthony's, a secret anchor. Later, washing dishes side by side, Lena whispered to Anthony, "He's good for you. Blood or not, he's family now." Anthony nodded, suds dripping, but doubt gnawed. Could they rewrite the script? Or was biology the unyielding plot twist? Spring teased with crocuses in Washington Square Park, and with it, temptation crested. One balmy April evening, post-jazz set at the Village Vanguard. Dominic's surprise, tickets scalped at extortion. They stumbled buzzed into Dominic's loft, city lights painting the walls gold. Wine loosened tongues, then hands. Dominic's fingers traced Anthony's collarbone, breath hitching. "Tell me to stop," he murmured, lips grazing Anthony's ear. Anthony couldn't, pulling him down onto silk sheets, their reunion a storm of pent-up longing. It was fervent, unhurried. Anthony mapping scars from the crash, Dominic arching under touches that branded mine. "Love you," Anthony gasped into the hollow of Dominic's throat, the words a leap off the ledge. Dominic's response, a fierce kiss, then whispered echo, sealed them, blood be damned. But paradise cracked under scrutiny. Whispers slithered through the Russo vine, cousins gossiping at church, Ma's bridge club buzzing with scandal. "That boy's no good," Aunt Teresa hissed over Easter lamb. "Blood ties don't bend." Anthony ignored it, but Dominic internalized, withdrawing into work marathons, his smiles brittle. One night, post-argument, Pop's latest apology, gift returned unopened, Dominic snapped. "This is poison, Anthony. Your family's hate. It's seeping into us." Anthony reached for him, but Dominic recoiled. "I won't be the villain in your redemption arc." The fight escalated, words as shrapnel. Anthony accusing Dominic of running, Dominic hurling back Anthony's denial of the taboo's weight. Doors slammed, silence stretched days. Anthony drowned in the shop, a transmission overhaul mirroring his gutted heart. Then, the call came. Pop, voice quavering. "He's here. Dominic says he needs to talk about ending it, ending us." Anthony's blood iced. He raced to the row house, Queens traffic a blur, arriving to find Dominic in the living room, photo album splayed like evidence. The air in the Russo living room hung thick as fog off Flushing Bay, every creak of the old floorboards amplifying the tension. Pop hovered in the doorway, wringing his hands like a man at confession, while Ma bustled in the kitchen, clanging pots to mask her eavesdropping. Dominic sat ramrod on the sagging couch. The photo album opened to a yellowed snapshot. A younger Pop, arms slung around Elena Vasquez, their smiles carefree against a Syracuse fairground backdrop. "Found this in his attic," Dominic said, voice steady but eyes stormy. "More letters too. He knew about me, watched from afar, even saw me graduate. But never stepped up." Anthony dropped into the armchair, the weight of it all crushing his chest. "Why now? Why drag this up?" Dominic's gaze pinned him, raw and unrelenting. "Because I can't keep pretending. We're drowning in his secrets. Anthony. Your folks, they tolerate me like a stray dog. But us? It's a scandal they whisper about at Mass. I love you, God. I do, but this half-life? It's killing me." Pop flinched, stepping forward. "Son, Dominic, I was wrong. Let me make it right. Stay for dinner, please." Dinner was a farce. Forced chatter over osso buco. Lena's kids piping questions. "Are you really Uncle Tony's brother?" While undercurrents raged. Dominic picked at his food, his knee no longer seeking Anthony's, the absence a chasm. As plates cleared, Pop cleared his throat, voice gravelly. "I owe you both the truth. Elena. She was fire, you know? After your ma, I strayed. Promised her the world, but fear won. I tracked you, sent checks through dummies, even drove by your little league games once. But facing you, admitting the lie to Tony's ma, cowardice." Tears tracked ma's cheeks, her rosary beads clicking like judgment. "We all sinned, Mikey. But family heals if we let it." Dominic's laugh was bitter. "Heal? By erasing the years I scraped by, wondering why I wasn't enough." He stood abruptly, chair scraping. "I came to say goodbye. To all of it. Anthony deserves a life without this shadow." Anthony surged up, gripping Dominic's arm. "No. You don't get to decide that alone." Their eyes locked, a battlefield of love and loss, Pop and Ma fading to spectators. The drive back to the village was silent fury, Anthony's knuckles white on the wheel, Dominic staring out at the glittering skyline like it held answers. At the loft, words erupted, Anthony railing against abandonment, Dominic against the suffocating Russo orbit. "Your family's a noose," Dominic shouted, pacing the Persian rug. "They'll never accept us, not as brothers, not as whatever we are." Anthony closed the gap, hands framing Dominic's face, thumbs brushing tears. "Then we make our own. Screw them. I choose you, blood, taboo, all of it." The kiss was desperation distilled, a clash of teeth and tongues that stripped away pretense. They tumbled to the bed, clothes shed like old skin, bodies reaffirming what words couldn't, the curve of hip under palm, the gasp of name on lips. It was cathartic, almost violent in its tenderness. Anthony pinning Dominic's wrists, whispering stay, Dominic arching up with a broken yes. Dawn found them entwined, bruises blooming like confessions, but the peace was illusory. Dominic's phone buzzed relentlessly, work crisis, a merger imploding, and reality intruded like a cold draft. Summer scorched in, humidity turning the city into a steam bath. They tried normalcy, Coney Island hot dogs, rooftop barbecues with Lena's crew, where Dominic bantered with the kids, earning Ma's tentative thaw. Pop kept distance, mailing clippings of Dominic's articles. "Proud of you, son," unsigned but aching. But fissures widened. Wall Street's wolves circled Dominic, demanding 80-hour weeks, his eyes hollowing from stress. Anthony's shop boomed with tourist tune-ups. But envy crept. Dominic's world of boardrooms and bespoke suits felt galaxies from grease and gaskets. Betrayal struck sly, a serpent in the garden. One sweltering August night, Anthony waited at a Soho bistro for their anniversary, 6 months since the rain, fidgeting with a velvet box hiding a compass locket, etched with "Found you." Dominic was late, texts unread. Worry morphed to dread when Anthony wandered the block. Spotting him through a gallery window, Dominic, laughing with a sharp-suited colleague, hands lingering too long on a shoulder, lips brushing an ear in confidence that screamed intimacy. Anthony's world fractured. He fled before confrontation, the locket burning in his pocket like accusation. Home alone, beer turning sour, Anthony pieced it together, late nights at the office, the cologne whiff he couldn't place. When Dominic finally stumbled in, "I ask you," Anthony's voice was ice. "Who is he?" Dominic froze, guilt etching his features. "Colleague." Nothing, stress release. A mistake. The word mistake echoed Pop's sins, igniting Anthony's rage. "Like me? Like us? You run to him because I'm too messy, too Russo." Dominic reached out, but Anthony shoved back. "I was scared. Okay. The family pressure, the whispers, it's crushing me. But I love you. This was stupid. A slip. Slips didn't heal, they hemorrhaged." Anthony stormed out, crashing at Lena's, the locket tossed in the Hudson at dawn, a sacrifice to drowned hopes. Days blurred in numbness. Shop on autopilot, calls ignored. Dominic's voicemails pleaded, "I'm sorry, come back," but pride armored Anthony. Then, the gut punch. A package at the shop, Pop's handwriting. Inside, a letter. Found more letters from Elena. "She named you after my brother." Dominic thought it might help. Enclosed, a DNA test kit, unopened, with a note, "For truth, if you want it." Anthony's hands shook as he swabbed, mailing it off in a haze. Results arrived a week later. Clinical black and white. 99.9% match. Half-brothers. Irrefutable. He drove to Dominic's loft, pounding until the door cracked. Dominic looked wrecked, unshaven, hollow-cheeked, the merger lost, his job teetering. "It's true," Anthony said, thrusting the paper. "We're blood." Dominic scanned it, crumpling like defeat. "Doesn't change how I feel. But maybe it should end us, for your sake." Autumn leaves bled crimson along the Hudson, mirroring the slow bleed of Anthony and Dominic's unraveling. The DNA paper lay between them on the loft's coffee table like a guillotine blade, truths etched in ink sharper than any lie. Anthony paced, boots thudding on hardwood, while Dominic sank into the armchair, head in hands. "This is it, isn't it?" Anthony rasped, voice frayed. "The universe's sick joke, saves your life, falls for you, then drops the brother bomb." Dominic looked up, green eyes fractured. "Or it's a gift. We found each other, Anthony. Wreck or not. But gifts turned poison under pressure." Pop's overtures escalated. Weekly dinners, therapy pamphlets on blended families, Ma's lasagna deliveries laced with pleas. "Give him a chance," she begged Anthony over the phone, voice quavering. "Mikey's trying for you boys." Lena mediated, dragging them to a park picnic where kids' laughter mocked adult fractures. Dominic played along, tossing frisbees with forced smiles. But Anthony saw the strain. The way his hand hovered before touching, The flinch at family mentions. The affair's ghost lingered too, unspoken accusations poisoning caresses. Wall Street's grind ground Dominic down. Demoted after the merger flop, he drowned in bourbon and what-ifs. Anthony found him one night, slumped at the kitchen island, bottle half empty. "Can't sleep," Dominic slurred. "Dreaming of him, your pop." Wondering why, Anthony slid onto the stool beside him, pouring a shot of his own. "Because he failed us." "But we're not him." Their talk meandered boyhood scars. Marco's ghost for Anthony, Elena's fierce letters for Dominic, ending in a quiet truce, heads bent together, breaths sinking. Yet high tide couldn't hold. Halloween brought the storm. A block party in the village, costumes and candy masking malice. Dressed as grease monkeys, ironic nod to their start, Anthony and Dominic wove through revelers, hands linked defiant. But eyes followed, whispers hissed, "That's the Russo bastard." From a cousin's friend, drunk on spiked punch. Dominic stiffened, grip tightening. "Ignore it." But Anthony seethed, confronting the slurslinger in a shadowed alley. "Say it to my face, asshole." Fists flew, Anthony's mechanic strength against a yuppie's bravado, ending with a split lip and cop lights flashing. Back at the loft, stitches fresh, Dominic's fury erupted. "This is what your family brings. Violence. Shame. I can't breathe in this." Anthony, ice packed to jaw. Shot back. "My family? You're part of it now. Deal with it." The dam burst. Every resentment unleashed. The affair as escape. The blood tie as curse. Love as beautiful trap. "I betrayed you because I hate this half-life," Dominic roared. "Wanting you, knowing it's wrong. It's tearing me apart." Anthony reeled. The word wrong a fresh wound. "Then go. Be free." Dominic did or tried. He vanished into a hotel near work. Text sparse. Need space. "Forgive me." Anthony hollowed out. Shop echoing empty. Lena's hugs scant bomb. Pop showed up uninvited, bearing tools and apologies. "I started this mess," he admitted, voice cracking over coffee. "Let your ma and me fix it, with you both." For the first time, Anthony listened, the old man's tears cracking his armor. "He loves you, Tony." Like I should have loved him. Reconciliation brewed slow. Dominic returned a fortnight later, suitcase in hand, face gaunt but resolute. "I saw a therapist," he said, standing in the doorway. "About the affair, the fear, and us. Blood doesn't dictate love, choice does." Anthony pulled him inside, the hug a lifeline, words tumbling. Forgiveness, fear, fierce want. They talked through nights, unpacking the wreckage. Pop's letters read aloud. Elena's stories shared like sacraments. No rush to bed. Healing first, touches chaste but charged. Rebuilding trust brick by tender brick. Winter's grip loosened into tentative spring, the city blooming with possibility. They set boundaries. Family visits capped. Therapy joint sessions in a sunlit Chelsea office, where a soft-spoken doc unpacked taboos like tangled wires. "You're pioneers," she said, rewriting the narrative. Pop and Ma evolved too. Awkward pride at Dominic's promotion. Ma's embrace fierce at Easter Mass. No perfection, but progress. A Russo Hale barbecue in Astoria Park. Laughter genuine amid the grill smoke. The climax crested on the anniversary of the crash, May 15th. Rain pattering like memory. Anthony blindfolded Dominic, driving the old Ford to the Van Wyck overlook, the guardrail scarred but standing. "Where it began," Anthony said, unveiling the view. City lights winking below, a picnic spread on the hood, falafel wraps, cheap wine, the locket reforged around Dominic's neck. "You saved me twice," Dominic murmured, fingers tracing the compass. "From the wreck, from loneliness." Anthony knelt then, not in proposal but promise. Ring optional. "Marry me? Not today, but someday." Blood and all. Dominic's yes was a sob, their kiss salt-sweet under the downpour, a vow against the storm. No tidy bows, whispers lingered, doubts nipped heels, but they chose each other, daily, defiantly. In America's sprawl, where secrets festered in brownstones and boardrooms, two men forged family from fracture. Brothers in blood, lovers in soul, human in the mess of it all. The city hummed on, indifferent witness, as they drove home, tires humming steady, hearts aligned at last. Epilogue whispers, years on. A wedding in Central Park. Pop walking both grooms. Ma dabbing tears. Lena's kids scattering petals. No fanfare, just quiet joy, the kind earned in rain and ruin. Anthony's shop thrived. Dominic's firm balanced with board time for causes, LGBTQ youth, hidden family stories. They adopted a rescue mutt, named Russo for irony, and in quiet nights, hands laced, they marveled. From crash to communion, love's long road, worth every bend.